Hey folks, good afternoon and welcome to the session. Sorry about the slight delay in getting started. We're just getting things going in the background. Welcome to the session today. My name is Paul Renken. I'm from FEDSAS. I am fortunate enough to be based in the KZN lovely Midlands area. So welcome to the folks that have come on board here that are going to be spending the next 45 minutes with us when we talk about other things, and we do talk about robotics and coding. I see people are streaming in, so as a bit of a start, I'm just going to do the normal introductions while we wait for people to come through, just so that we can see where we're going and how we're handling things today in the processes that we're going forward. Today, we're going to be speaking to Riaan van den Bergh, and he's hosting Rajesh, who's going to be speaking to us about robotics and coding. It's great to see Rajesh on board. We've had a wonderful partnership that's growing really well. I did find out as well, to my embarrassment, I have to say, that he has married an Afrikaans-speaking person. My prejudice maybe popped through a little bit. We won't worry about that. I will apologize to him one day when I'm in Pretoria. I'm just going to wait for my internet to stabilize a little bit there in the background so we can pick up where we're going. There we go. So today, Riaan's going to be speaking to and with Rajesh about coding and robotics in the school environment. But before we get there, I just want to remind you of all our provincial managers. And I'm going to run a poll in the background at the same time, just so that we can get an idea of who is on board with us today. Who do we have in our audience? In an environment where we would be on site, we would be able to see each other and we would be able to recognize each other. But now we're in a situation where we don't. So we'd like to know who's in the audience. So you should be seeing a poll popping up in front of you at the moment. And if you don't, please type something in the Q&A box to let me know. And if you wouldn't mind just completing those two questions there, so we've got an idea of the audience that we're speaking to today. We've got an idea of who's sitting in amongst the audience with us. We do have some of our provincial managers on board, and we obviously have got an admin team as well that's helping us handle questions in the background as well. So voel lekker gerus om die vrae te vra asseblief. Ons is tweetalig, meestal van die tech is in Engels, maar ons praat ook Afrikaans. So asseblief sit maar die Afrikaans vrae in as dit nodig is, en ons gaan dan opvolg of gedurende die sessie dan ook antwoord. Riaan sal hulle gedurende die sessie dan hanteer sodat ons deur kan werk met die vrae daarso. So baie welkom aan die sessie. I'm just going to let it run for another 4 or 5%. They always say if we can get 70% of the audience voted, then we've got some interaction going at least, and we know who's on board. They also say if you don't answer within 2 minutes, you're not going to answer the question. In any case, for those of you that are on mobile devices, please just swipe across and you'll be able to pick up the details on the other side as well, and you'll be able to pick them up from there. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to end the poll and just share it with you, just to give you an idea of who's in the audience as well. And it should be popping up to your screen just now. The internet, as wonderful as the Midlands is, the internet is not yet in the world of fiber yet. So we're waiting anxiously here, and then we'll be with the rest of the world. You should be able to see the results popping up in front of you now. We've got 15% of the audience are principals, 9% are SGB members other than the principal, 24% of the school IT champion, 37% of interest. Don't have any learners on board. I keep putting learners on that process, and I'm hoping to get learners in one day. Please type into the Q&A box if you would like to what other means, just so we've got an idea of what's in the process. I'm going to scroll down a little bit just so we can have a look and see how long you've been involved in robotics and coding at your school. 70% of the audience say they have not started yet. 11%, so that year, and it's been a club. 2% have had it for a year, 4% more than 2 years. And then, please let us know where your path sits, where your process sits on the digital path that we're following through from there. I'm going to just stop sharing those and get them out the way. Your Q&A box, you'll find it down the bottom there. Please feel free to type in questions, and we will handle them during the session as we go through. With that, I'm going to hand over to Riaan. Welcome, Riaan. Welcome on board. We've had a very busy week. Very exciting things have happened, which I'm sure you're going to share with us. But thanks very much, and we look forward to the session. Over to you, Riaan.
Unmute. Am I unmuted now?
You are indeed unmuted.
We call it a schoolboy error if you I think this is probably close to the 100th webinar that we've run in the past 2 years. And yeah, missed that button. Welcome to 2020, uppercase and encoded. I want to read something from the Schools Act booklet that we have. It says, Section 20, functions of all governing bodies, subsection 1, subject to this act, the governing body of a public school must, must is a big word. A, promote the best interest of the school and strive to ensure its development through the provision of quality education for all learners at the school. I love the word development. Its development. Not the development of people, but the school's development. For me, development is looking forward, progression, advancement, growth. I don't know what development means to you, but for me, that is looking towards alternatives. And this is what the Center for Technology wants to do, to make sure that we look at the development of our journey, our school-going cycle, our governance cycle, and specifically the skills that we need in school. So yeah, just as an intro. Tech Talk, Thursdays at 3. Welcome to the session. There's so much going on in our lives. Paul said it's been a busy week. Number one, we launched our new FEDSAS website, and thanks for all the comments and queries, teething problems that we had here and there, but getting good comments of the new look website. Please join us searching through our website, www.fedsas.org.za. It's school governing body election cycle. A lot of schools have already had elections. We've heard great stories of electronic elections, high turnout, quality quorums, and good luck with it. If you haven't planned your election well, go back to the drawing board, ensure that the process of democracy really works well. And then FEDSAS is responding with a lot of induction. We had our first round of induction on Monday, second one coming up this week, and then following with a big training cycle. I think something popped up in the chat box now. Volg ons skedule hoe om ons opleiding by te woon, waar dit is, hoe dit is. It's a different year, so it's going to look different, but we really have done a lot of groundwork to ensure that you get into the fray of understanding your role. Next week, we've got an Acer webinar, a little bit of a plug. If you follow that QR code, the quick response code, it's a blended learning webinar next week, Wednesday. I'll end off with that again. Thank you for visiting Schoolscape Premier, those who did, and thanks for all the comments at our booth, online virtual webinar or conference that went well. And then obviously everyone is very aware of the fact that education is heavily in the news, sadness, difficulty, but it puts us at the forefront of thinking about education. That being said, let's move on. The Center for Technology, which is the drive that we have for the last 5 years, trying to make a difference in schools, inserting us into the 21st century. And for this year, we have 2 critical focus points. You're going to hear this story many times this year, and I tried to make it a little bit different today, but the first focus point is this is how we roll. Let's just be natural in the time and space we find ourselves. I found this Urban Dictionary online. It says the phrase "that's how we roll" alongside with variance seems to have, and now my screen is covered, seems to have become increasingly popular in recent years. It appears to draw attention to one's behavior or policies, asserting, sometimes ironically, the correctness or importance of them. That's how we do things. And in the 21st century, that's how we do things. We just keep doing it like we do at home. You see at the bottom there, our focus for the last 5 years was learn as we live. Let us embrace what we do in our living spaces into the schooling space. The second focus point is that of one size fits one. And I found this cartoon online. Oh, look at Bugs Bunny. One size fits all. Dit werk nie altyd nie. Made to measure, perfect fit. And we're saying that everything in the education technology market might not be for all schools out there. Similarly, everything applied at a school, presented at a school, might not be for all learners. And that's why we play rugby and choir and do choir, because it doesn't fit everyone, but it's available to everyone. And especially when we're talking about robotics and coding today, I think there's a general feeling that it needs to be included in the curriculum. But then there's also a feeling that it might be for a niche market at school. might even be for a niche market of schools, but definitely in the club format or some sort of format that would make it a niche for some learners there. So one size does not fit all. We say one size fits one. Tech tip of the day. I'm going to skip over this very quickly. I want to talk about the unknown unknowns. Donald Rumsfeld once said that the Americans went to war in Iraq because there were three things: the known knowns, the things they know about, they don't scare them. The known unknowns, those are the things they don't know about, they concern them. And then there are the unknown unknowns. Those are the things that they don't know about, and that frightens them. And I think we've got to move to a point of the unknown unknowns becoming known unknowns. And I've got a picture of an old telephone there. Nowadays, we just understand that when your phone rings, you don't pick it up if you don't know who it is. But there used to be a time when that was an unknown unknown. So let's keep that in mind. Tech tip of the day. Just advertising again, our tech talk next week. Remember, the Acer one is on Wednesday at 2 for educators, learners, and parents also. So if you scan that QR code, you'll go to a Microsoft form and you can register for that. We'll send you the link before that. And then next week, Thursday, this time slot, we will be doing a Q&A with myself and some of the FEDSAS team members on technology in the SGB around the table. Talking about today, 21st century skills. The bottom newspaper clip was sent to me about a week ago by our CEO. Before I could pick it up, it was already sent to me. The top one: traditional education is no longer enough for successful careers. 'n graad alleen dra nie meer genoeg gewig nie. And both those writers talk about different skills, different things we need to do to fit in and escalate above the baseline. And something that really speaks to that, I think, is the value of coding robotics, the content, but also the process. And I've invited Rajesh from Resolute to join me today. It's not his first visit to us. Rajesh, you can come onto the stage, open your mic so long. The thinking of we need to look differently at the world of the future than we do to the world of the past. How do we introduce new skills? Communication is a skill. Collaboration is a skill. Creative thinking, critical thinking is a skill. How do we put that in? And one of the vehicles we found is that of having kids do stuff they like to play with. It's similar to toys, but it's critical thinking that comes to solution finding, and coding and robotics is a linear thinking process that gets us there. Rajesh, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be looking at some case studies that you have been working with over the past few weeks. Baie dankie, welkom by the Tech Talk at 3. So I'm going to force you to say hello in Afrikaans and then move on. But share your thoughts with us today. Yeah, we're really keen to see what schools have done successfully. Looking at the audience, 70% not doing anything yet, but they're here. So I think they're asking questions. Thanks so much. Welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Riaan. Really excited to be here. Manjar. So my name is Rajesh, as Riaan explained. I'm the founder at Resolute Robotics. And we started actually in maths about 8 to 10 years ago. And then after my electronic engineering degree, we jumped into, I thought, how could I use my passion for education and electronic engineering and come up with a solution? And lo and behold, robotics came to be. It's such an exciting field to be in, and last year was quite special for us. Even during COVID, it was remarkable. We signed about 20 to 25 schools, and we have actively about 1,500 learners on our platform. And to see the school market react like that during a pandemic and wanting to implement this is just so exciting for us as a company as well. So yeah, thank you so much for having us. Let me quickly share my screen and start off. So the whole idea for my presentation today was I kind of want to give you a brief overview of where tech is going. I don't want to spend too much time on that because I think everyone over here completely understands the importance of robotics and coding. So that doesn't need to be reiterated. I just want to put my timer on so I don't go over time. Yeah, and then after that, I just want to show you how any school who wants to implement robotics and coding, what are the things that you need to consider and what are the things that you have to think of, because there is a lot of hype around it. And with hype, they could come to a place where schools invest a lot of money into something that they're not really sure about, that is sustainable. And with a lot of hype could also come a feeling of overwhelmness or feeling overwhelmed, where then schools actually don't take action and they wait for the government to maybe release something that works for them. So yeah, and then towards the end of the chat, would love to go over some of the schools that have done such an incredible job implementing it. I think we're learning as we go. So yeah, let's start it off. So if we look at Resolute, just to chat about the hype, I just want to chat about the different industries and why robotics is picking up so quickly. I mean, this is essentially farming. So this is incredibly cool. I'm not going to play all the videos for long, but this is just to show how machines can immediately pick up if any of the fruits are ripe and automatically start to pick it up. And then we go into the medical field. I mean, to think that even such a field as doctors or the traditional medical fields was so focused on if you're a doctor, you're a doctor, but now it's becoming interdisciplinary as well. And here's a video, and this is 5-6 years ago of robots actually peeling a grape. And you can see how precise this is. And this is also to show where the world is heading eventually in a few years, where most of the operations will be done by machines. So if a student wants to become a doctor, apart from just doing your medical degree, it's also critical to understand how these instruments work so that you can actually be the most equipped doctor out there. And then moving on, this is the US military. And I think I absolutely love this video. I'll just play towards the end of it. These robots that you see here are barely about 5-6 years ago, they couldn't even stand. And now 5 years down the line, they're actually dancing. I don't know if you can hear the music, but absolutely love this video. And these are 3 different bots that are being used in the US military. And you can see within 5 years, they've not just learned how to walk, but they're actually dancing. They can do tumble turns. There's even dogs. And so technology, Adam Pantanovitz used to say it often, it's slow until you realize it becomes sudden. So technology is slow until it's sudden. And so we need to make sure we keep up with the times. And now going into more of a unique field in this.
Rajesh, can I just interject there, please, if
yes,
I may? We couldn't hear
yes.
the music. So could you please send us a link where we can find those very interesting videos so that we can show it to the other schools? If you can share that or share it post the event, because I think seeing a robot dance is good, but actually dance to music will be good fun. So please share with us. We couldn't hear the music.
I'm so glad you asked me to share the link and not sing while the robots are dancing. So I will definitely share that. And then this is a very unique field. This is the field of art. You look at these 2 images. Traditionally, arts were done by people. And now these are portraits, and there's a whole world of art being created by computers. So what artists are doing is they're uploading their style and they're pairing that style with an existing artist. So for example, I think this is Monet and this is Van Gogh. And so the computer machine learning algorithms are learning how to merge different people's style to create its own art. Music's already gone electrical, now art is as well. So even in a cultural field such as art, so for art teachers and stuff like that, it's so cool to teach the kids these concepts because they can still get creative using technology. And I don't have a slide on this, but it's actually quite fascinating. There's also machine learning going into drama. So there's an aspect where someone uploaded all 10 seasons of Friends onto a machine learning algorithm, and that's like 237 episodes. Then the computer generated a brand new script, not man written, but completely by a computer on what Chandler would say, or Ross would say, or what one of these characters would say. So it's just so powerful going into all aspects of our life. And I think we all are aware how powerful it is and how it's going into almost every industry. So that's why we call it an interdisciplinary field. So to start off, I mean, you look at STEAM. The whole idea is, how do we link this up, right? We want to make technology and engineering, which is a T and the E, we want to excite them, but it also needs to have an impact on other subjects. So when you take science, it needs to be practical. So implementing robotics and coding needs to have a practical application when you look at electrical circuits and the importance of semiconductors. When it comes to art, That's art and machine learning, which I just discussed. When it comes to mathematics, I mean, people always ask, how's Pythagoras going to help me? It's not the concept of Pythagoras, but when you want to implement algorithms in data sciences, you need to understand the math behind it, and as well as design. So systems and project design, so design and coding. So even if you study design field, you need to be able to bring your work to life with code as well. So this is an overview of how everything's becoming interdisciplinary, and it's so critical for a student growing up, yes, to have their passions and to focus on that, but also to be exposed to the world of coding and robotics. So this is quite cool. So this is a starting point. I mean, a little bit of research that we've done over the couple of years. So for schools that are like, I absolutely want to get involved, where do I start? So if you look at the axis over here, this is coding, and then you have your foundational phase, intermediate, senior, and FET phase. If you want to start off in programming, it's absolutely critical that you start off with Scratch, which is your block-based coding. Block-based is very cool. It's actually, instead of students programming from scratch using text, they actually drag and drop blocks. And why that's powerful is you're still teaching kids logical thinking and how to think like a coder, but in a fun way, because they're dragging and dropping blocks. I mean, I'm 27 and I still I love to drag and drop things. So it's such an attractive way to get things into it. But schools should look, and that's how block-based coding looks like. So if you have a car, when started, drive forward, turn right, say hello, turn left, drive forward, stop driving. Very much instruction-based, but very much on a high level. But then as you get older, as you go through to the intermediate and the senior phase, it's critical to transition from block-based coding to more text-based coding. And one of the most popular programs out there is Python, and a text-based coding would look something like this. So it's essentially when started, which is a function, the global variable, and then you actually give it instructions to say, cool, drive forward, turn right, print hello. So you can see how easily, once kids have mastered this, how easy it is for them to translate it into text-based coding. And once they've done that, then you get your specialized fields. I mean, there are tons of computer programming languages that I haven't even mentioned here, but for example, CSS and HTML and Java are all used to create websites and app development. So going more towards your specialized curriculum in your later senior phases where the kids need to choose the right subjects, or in your FET phase where you want to apply for university, you want to expose the students to this kind of language. So this shows a nice little transition. And now robotics, right? So coding is one thing, which is computer sciences. Robotics is a completely different field. Robotics has to use hardware and the language of code to make it come alive. So in robotics, there are so many options out there. You get your spherable, you get your M-bots, you get your microbits, you get your Lego robotics, all ranging from 500 Rand, which is a microbit, all the way to 9,000 Rand for these Lego robotics. These are all cool instruments for kids. And why these are extremely critical in the younger years, because when kids start off in grade 1 to 6, the aspect of something pre-built, because it has that feeling of I'm getting a toy, is still exciting for kids. So schools should look at implementing a pre-built bot that then coincides with Scratch programming that they can actually implement in schools. And this is quite fun then, because then students have something pre-built, but they're more coding the instructions to make it happen. But there needs to be a transition, and that's where Resolute, although we are developing curriculum in the grade 4 to 6 phase and our foundation phase is already created, we come in and specialize in the senior and the FET phase as well from grade 6 onwards, because there's only so much students can do with Legos and spherables and M-bots, because students have a curiosity and they want to go from something that's built where they actually want to build it. So now when you give students electronic components, you give them the freedom to build projects such as a smart garden, a home automation system, and things like that as well. So this is the transition that needs to happen in the robotics sphere as well. So when you combine the two, how does that look? So if you look at coding at the bottom and your robotics at the top, if you're looking to implement it, start off with block-based coding and look at investing in a cost-effective robot or a drone. We can recommend lots that use block-based coding so that although they're learning coding, there's a practical application to it. Then moving on, when you get to the next phase, you're looking at Python, which is game development and web designs as well in the intermediate phase. Now, when you're getting a robot or a drone, also look for one that can do block-based coding, but more importantly, also text-based coding, which means that you can actually use that robot from grade 1 all the way to grade 12. Students can use block-based coding in the younger years, and then they can use text-based coding as they grow older. So when picking a bot, just be careful that it does allow for block-based and text-based coding. Then you get your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which is all about web development in the software side. And in the electronics robotics side, you get the world of engineering projects, and more importantly, you want to introduce the kids to design as well. So that's where you get 3D printing. And so that's where kids can custom create their own designs and build something that works. So this kind of should paint an overall picture on where we're heading, and this should help the school start off. And then on top of that, you get your innovation labs, and all the innovation lab is a space where there's laptops for students to work from. They have available to 3D printers, as well as some robotics projects, as well as computers where they can do their software projects. If this makes sense to you, then great. If you want more information on it, please pop us an email. We'd love to sit with each school. We love to project consult for each school and head them in the right direction so that they can get started. So the Resolute journey. Yeah.
Can I quickly drop in there 30-second interjection? We've got a question in the chat box, which is relevant to what you just discussed with all the phases. Yeah. How does your curriculum or a curriculum fit into the DBE's information technology curriculum? So I'm not sure if it's the full coding and robotics curriculum that's recently in the news. The attendee asks into the DBE's IT curriculum. Does it overlap? Is it additional? How does it synergize, or does it cannibalize?
No, so there is a lot of synergy to it. So firstly, let's look at this. The government has released a robotics and coding curriculum, which we have as well. So a lot of our curriculum, which I'll go into a bit later, doesn't just cover the concepts in coding and robotics, but goes above and beyond. From my understanding, your IT curriculum for your grades 7 to 9, as well as with technology, they do teach kids HTML, and there is a part of coding in it. So this does align very nicely with that. And obviously, when you go to grade 10 to 12, some schools focus on, if I'm not mistaken, Delphi programming, and some schools do Java programming. And so that's where Python as well, going into grade 9, can prepare students, but you can also do courses in Java and Delphi from grade 10 to 12. And I always say, I mean, if you understand programming and you know how to master one language, it's so easy to adapt. So a lot of our curriculum that we are fitting into is in line with what the government wants to do as well. And just the thing with the government, when they roll out with the robotics or a coding curriculum, then on a national basis, not all schools have computers. So there are rumors that they're going to start off with more cardboard-based programming, which uses Scratch kind of thing. So yeah, we're still researching too much into that, so I'm not an expert on that yet. I hope I've answered that question.
Yeah, but it plays to the fact that you can use some of your product in the curriculum in IT. Or as a club adjacent to it, but the skills are going to be the same skills. So you could possibly work with the same learning outcomes using your curriculum in the IT curriculum, IT CAPS, standards. If that way. All right.
100%. What I'll do is we'll take the IT curriculum and we've literally highlighted points where our curriculum falls in line with that, and also the technology curriculum. So maybe I'll share that with the people who are attending as well.
Excellent. Thanks so much. You can continue.
Cool. So in our journey, I think I've painted quite a big picture. So you have your 3 big streams. So your engineering, software, and data sciences. So we provide projects and curriculums in each one of it. So it's not just we give you a coding program and you run with it. It's not just we're dropping off a fun drone or a kit and you can run with it. We provide courses from the fundamentals from Scratch, Tinkercad, electronic circuit theory, programming, Arduino, all the way to engineering projects, to software engineering projects, as well as data sciences projects. So we cover from start to end. And if I could bundle our offering into 5 steps, we do a robotics course and curriculum. We have a user-friendly platform, because a lot of the concepts in this field are very abstract. And so traditionally standing in front of class and teaching in front of 25 kids isn't sufficient. So the online platform comes in extremely handy, because we have over 80 to 100 hours of content. So kids all watch the content and then they start building. So the chances of students completing the projects are much higher. Even the kids that are not tech and IT inclined still manage to complete the projects. And that also gives the teachers the freedom, because they don't have to stand in front and become experts overnight on these things, but they can rather facilitate it. Then we have our easy to assemble robotics kits, which can be used over the years, and I'll go through that now. We also do an in-depth facilitator training program. None of this works without a facilitator training, so we have training programs that are 12 hours, 24 hours, all the way to 40 hours to make sure that the teachers are comfortable. And we also do a lot of continuous technical support. Our technical support's very thorough. The schools that we've partnered with, we call them on a bi-weekly basis. We have online meetings with the teachers. We check in on how the classes are doing. We even do school visits. So we have an incredibly good relationship with the teachers, where we actually take them on that journey. So our curriculum looks something like this. So you'll see it's a 40-week structure. We have our own curriculum that we can also match into the CAPS document for you in IT and tech like us, but we split it into an hour class each week. And so we'll provide you with the topic, the content, and all the things that they should be learning, which links to our online learning platform. Each year, we provide a brand new set of assessments. The assessments are continuous as well as formative. So PAT exams as well as written exams, as well as we give the students opportunity to create something of their own, like a practical that they can do throughout the year. And each year, assessments are updated. So it's a very nice plug-and-play system for a school. When they use us, it's an ecosystem that they're plugging into as well. And this is just a photo of our actual website and the different courses and the theoretical design and the practical projects that come from it. So I love this slide. Just to quickly go through it. I mean, if you want to do robotics in your school, you need to decide either in curriculum, as an extramural club, and a private option. I'll try my best quickly to get to those points of how some schools have integrated in a really clever way. You need to select what project you want to do, as well as what grades you want to apply it to it. Now, in our hardware and engineering projects, we have 6 projects that we start off with that's applicable from grade 6 upwards. And then our software and computer data sciences course is all the way from a grade 4 upwards. So from Scratch, App Inventor using Scratch, electronic simulation, C# game development, Python, more on Python, data sciences, art of machine learning, web development, as well as JavaScript. So all of these heavy computer sciences courses ties in very nicely with the IT curriculum as well. Concepts such as if statements, loops are all age-old IT concepts that can get taught with the different languages that we do as well. So our streams, so novice, adept, master, and advanced, are applied for grades 1 to 3. We are launching something for the grade 4 to 5 market, which will be ready for our September launch, and I'll provide more information on that a bit later. So in the computational thinking, we have 120 lessons, so 40, 40, 40. We teach the kids algorithms, decompositions, patterns, and abstractions. These are the different bots that get used in that. So teachers get these lesson structures and they'll teach the kids, for example, here's a maze. The students need to find a way through the maze. And once they have them, the teacher shows them how do you program a bot to do the same activity that the humans do as well. And then not going to spend too much time on this, but this is our stream. So this is our depth stream, our master stream, and advanced stream. So each stream has a computer sciences project, an engineering project, as well as a data sciences project towards the end of the year as well. So in terms of our engineering courses, these are how the kits look from adept to beginner to advanced. And then each of them, you can do about 3 to 4 courses in them. And then here's some really cool photos of some of the projects that the students have built. Here's a really cool smart garden. Kids can get creative, so that's 3D printed. So if the soil is dry, it automatically waters the plant. We have our autonomous line following rover. I mean, we hear about Mars and the self-driving car. How do they start? They start off building a line following rover, which is quite cool. So in terms of how it looks something like this. So you'll see the cars will follow itself. It's an extremely popular project because schools love to implement it, and then at the end of the year they have a really fun race there as well. So this is a home automation system going into IoT, automated garages where cars can drive in, sensory networks such as temperature sensors that automatically turn on fans, lighting, security systems. So really, really cool projects that students can use recycled materials as well as 3D printing. Automated hand sanitizer, these are some of the projects students have built, detects your hands and releases a little bit of soap. And these are our software courses. So in Scratch, we teach kids how to do game development. So, you know, they pick up the strawberry and if they hit the rock, they die. So students have actually programmed this course on our side. And here's our Tinkercad course. So even if you don't buy the robotics kits, you can completely do it online as well. And then quickly moving over to Python and C#. This is a grade 8 student that did it last year. It's essentially Mario. So you essentially need to get the key. And once you get the key, then you can go to the next level, essentially. So schools can actually implement this over 2 terms or over a term. In total, it's about 8 to 12 hours of content that they can learn. And then we have our JavaScript game development. So I just have a demo of that. So this is, for example, students that have used JavaScript to build a tech and fighting game. I mean, this is such a traditional arcade game that they can now build and play against their friends as well. So moving on, in terms of costing, I'll show you how schools can get creative from it, but on a very high level, These are once-off costs for grade 1 to 3. So if you buy for one grade, it's 10,000 Rand. But if you buy for 3 grades, that's 24,000 Rand for the lesson plans. And then you can choose. We have 2 bots that you can select from. One is a cheaper option, which is 1,500 Rand. And the other one's a bit more of an expensive one, which is around 2,500 Rand. The nice thing is the primary school teachers get the lesson plans, and then they can either buy 1 kit per classroom for demonstration purposes, or they can buy 3 or 4 kits so that students can do group work. Our costing in terms of is we charge separately for the kits, so from 2,100 Rand to 2,500 Rand, and then we have a license cost based on how many students are in your school. We're very flexible on this. The nice thing on this is if you have students that are between 250 students, or in a public school up to the 800 range, you're only paying 118 Rand per annum. That's like about 10 Rand a month per student to get access to this. The licenses gives you access to project consultation, assessments, online access, and all of that. And some of the case studies. So this is the most exciting part. Sorry, I ran through our offering a bit. I mean, you can, if you're interested, you can always contact us and we can take it through. But I'm really excited about to see how some schools have implemented it. So just for example, so Parel Valley and Hutton Park are 2 different schools. Parel Valley is in Cape Town, it's a high school, whereas Hutton Park is a primary school in KwaZulu-Natal. They've implemented the clubs approach. So what they did is in year 1, they did an extramural club. Why that became successful is they got the parents to fund it. They bought the kits, which means if a parent pays 320 Rand per month over 10 months, that's 3,200 Rand a year. And why did the parents sign up for it? Because we actually went to the school, we did a big career guidance there. We even spoke to the parents. We had a parent-teacher evening and we showed them all the projects the kids do. We got a big buy-in from parents, and that's what makes it easier for schools to start charging it. I mean, 300 Rand a month is actually very cheap. And some schools like Hutton Park, you can get very creative in it. I mean, you can actually, the schools buy the kits once off, and then each year they use it in their clubs, which means each year they can still carry on charging parents, which means they build a tech budget for themselves. So overall in each school, just from the clubs, there's about 60 students that are signing off after school in the clubs region, completely parent funded, but that's worked quite well. And what's nice about it is in year 1, it sets the tone. And then in year 2 and 3, it gives you the transition to go into the in-curriculum approach, because now you have a proven successful model. Lichtbron and Altena, 2 schools that are in curriculum and that are government schools as well. Very cool. What they've done is they did the in-curriculum approach, but they raised funds to do this. I really would like to chat to you about the way Lichtbron did it. It's absolutely fantastic. And Riaan, at the end of the webinar, can also show schools the art of fundraising and how you can raise funds to promote and build a robotics lab for yourself. But what they did is they actually got all the farms near them to give them a certain portion of land, and all the crop that comes from that land, they donated that to the school. And yeah, so through that, the school raised a lot of funds. And the best thing about the way they did it is so creative. So what they did is they bought 1 stream, so 1 kit. They split it in between 2 grades for grade 8 and 9. So you can see when 1 year with the grade 8 is doing software, the other grade 9 is using the hardware systems. So then at the end of the term, they pack up the hardware, then the grade 8 start to use the same components to do the hardware, whereas the grade 9s then do the software aspect of it. So in this way, instead of buying a kit per grade, you can use a kit between 2 grades if you create it in such a smart way. So they bought 1 kit for 1 stream, and they're managing it between grade 8 and 9 students. What they also did is they're doing group work, so 4 students per kit. So now you can look at it, they have 600 students in grade 8 and 9 that are using the same kit in groups of 4, and they've managed to implement a complete in-curriculum robotics thing for grade 8 and 9 as part of their syllabus. And what does the cost work out to? If you calculate this, it comes to 358 Rand per student per annum. That is 35 Rand a month, not just for your coding licenses, but your hardware and your software, a full-on curriculum. So there are extremely creative ways that schools can do this. And so we would love for you to contact us and chat to us to be like, listen, this is what we're looking at. We want to create an innovation lab. We want to apply for funding. Can you help us? We want to start a club. We're happy to come chat to the students, host parent evenings, and help your school get to that space as well. We are running an Easter special. I have exactly 1 minute left. So our Easter special is very cool. So essentially, you need to, as a school, pick 1 grade that you want to pilot an 8-week coding program, unlimited licenses. So you can send us 50 students or 800 students. We will manage that. And this is for us to help you, show you how easy it is to implement a coding program as well as the robotics program. Then you need to pick from our library of coding courses, so Scratch, C#, Python, Data Sciences, Art of Machine Learning, or JavaScript. So you pick one of the courses that you want to do it with us. We will give you staff training for free. And you guys need to submit our students' work to us. And the school that has the most submissions will win an innovation day worth up to 25,000 Rand. So that means we'll come to your school with 3D printers and we'll do a whole tech day with the whole grade, and to show them where technology is going. And they'll have a fun theme to it where they need to maybe navigate through Mars, and we'll do all of that as part of the school that wins. And the student that builds the coolest project gets 1,000 Rand. I think it says there, the student that builds the coolest wins 1,000 Rand, so the coolest project. So this is an incredible opportunity for schools. This whole thing is free, and you get a Steam Day that comes from it, an 8-week robotics program that you can do. It's actually quite pricey. It's like 200 Rand a child, and we're giving it all for free because we want to show schools how easy it is to implement something like this and to partner with us on it. How do you enter? The first 25 schools to email info@resolute.education. Please send us your name and the school that you've come up with to enter, and we will then get started on that. I really hope you found this talk informative, apart from our offering on how to start something. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Riaan.
Thanks, Rajesh. Yeah, you raced through quite a lot of info, and thanks for that. I just want to remind everyone that if you missed something, we are live on Facebook, but it doesn't just stay live. You can review the broadcast on Facebook again. It's on the FEDSAS Facebook page. This will be mailed to you. A link to the recording of today will be mailed to everyone that registered, and it should be on YouTube within the next day or two for everyone to watch on demand and share the link with anyone in their school. Just to piggyback on what Rajesh said, and then we'll get into the questions, which we've got a couple of great questions there. Fundraising, the theme of fundraising that came up in a sense of how do we do this if it's not part of school fees, if it's not in curricular, what can we do to do? And I want to refer you to a tech talk with D6 and Stick It somewhere August last year on our YouTube page. I will share the link quickly if I see it, where we spoke about using technology, which is YouTube, for a talent platform, and then people in the school community can vote with 5 Rand for their favorite artist. So it's not the best, it's not idols, the best singer wins, it's the most popular singer that wins. And some schools that have run that raised 25, 30,000 Rand with that. So if you want to go look at a innovative new way of fundraising, that's something easy to do, especially in this time where we can't fill school halls with audiences. So go look at that. I'll quickly copy that and paste it into the chat box. Rajesh, we've got someone asking about teacher training and teacher involvement. It seems like the teachers can then use this curriculum and present that. You're doing teacher training and they deliver it. Is that correct?
Yes, so we do a in-depth training, and then we have also a full-on curriculum with assessments that we share. So then a lot of the schools, the teachers either follow our curriculum, but they add their own aspect to it. I mean, we've had schools that do a term of it as part of technology or part of IT, so they can add their own variety or spice to the way they want to implement it.
So it's actually upskilling educators to upskill learners. And I think that's a double whammy. Someone asked whether your teacher training is SACE accredited. Is there SACE accreditation on that?
Yeah. So I've answered that. So we're actually in the process for applying to be SACE accredited. So hopefully in the next, I think it's a 2-3 month process. So teachers can actually get SACE points once that process is done. Do you know of any robotic simulation, as often learners do not get enough practice to master the techniques? Is there something simulated, your online platform that you spoke about? So not on our online platforms. So there are tons of open source simulations. So Scratch, one of the courses that we do, has its own IDE that you can access. The other one is called Tinkercad. So that's an electronic online simulator. So you can actually drag and drop components. Instead of building a circuit in person, you'll build it live, and then you can actually see if the LED blows up or you've put too much power to the motor. Everything can be simulated. It's also an open source. There are content on it, but then that's where we come, is we actually provide a lot of that curriculum that revolves around that software as well. And then there's something else also called Roberta. There's some virtual reality programs out there. I'll compile some, and maybe we can do another TED talk on that.
Excellent. I think we're going to close off there. We're running out of time. We always like to end on time, but there's a lot of discussion on there, and there's still a great crowd talking with us or listening to us. Scratch is for free, but I want to say that something for free doesn't manage, implement, and integrate itself. So Scratch is a free resource, but one needs to spend some effort in deploying it. In the church world, we always said that the living water is free, but the pipeline costs money. Someone must still bring the pipeline. And I think that's what's critical in talking to vendors and various, there's definitely one or two other robotics and coding vendors in the Center for Technology. Even if there's a good resource, let's see how we effectively implement and integrate that. Rajesh, thanks so much for chatting with us. You really, you deserve a glass of water now. You used up all your words. I'm going to hand over to Paul Rankin to close the session for us. Please remember next week's 2 tech talks, Wednesday, 2 o'clock with Acer. Blended learning is here to stay. Let's get practical. We're going to go for, similar to what Rajesh said, how do we talk about inside the classroom, inside the learning space? And then next week, Thursday, Q&A for the FEDSAS team on technology. Mr. Rankin, over to you. Thanks so much for hosting us in the background.
No, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Rajesh, thanks very much for your involvement. There was a question with regards to links to the online emulators or simulators. If you wouldn't mind, maybe see if we can pick up that and help Ernst and get him those details. But yeah, thanks very much, folks, for joining us. Just as we finish off, just to remind you once again, let's just get to the right place here. Just to remind you once again of our training that is taking place. We've got induction, training, and development that's happening throughout this year for your governing body members. So while they might not be on this session because robotics and coding might not ring their bells, please pass the message on to them so that they can get that information as well. And then just another reminder just of our provincial managers, and I want to finish off with the final poll, just asking you where you sit with regards to the processes if you need more information as well. On the background, you'll see our provincial managers' details, and there's just a quick poll. Do you need some more assistance with regards to this? Would you like us to contact you? I'm not going to share it with everybody, but if you could just let us know, we'll pick up the details and we can then follow through and see. The 70%, I think that's what it was, Riaan, just remind me, I think it was 70% on the session today. This is a new field to you, so please reach out to us, let us know. We will not share the information with anybody to just send you spam information. Our integrity levels are extremely high with regards to that. But that's why we would like to know if you would like us to help you getting in touch with the people. We won't just send you stuff that you don't need. So if you wouldn't mind just indicating on that, and as normal, I'll give it a few more seconds just to get that all in place from that aspect there. And then finally, thank you very much. Thanks for everybody's involvement. Thanks for the session today. Thanks very much, Rajesh, for sharing that with us. Riaan, final word over to you.
Yeah, the world we live in is very different to the world we used to live in, but that was like that for all generations. I played with toys that my folks didn't play with, and my kids are playing with toys that I'd never played with. So let's just keep in mind that we're constantly moving forward and the world is evolving. So have fun with the toys of our time. Enjoy yourselves. Thanks for joining. Talk to you next week. Cheers.
Thanks very much. Cheers.